Okay, so I wanted to talk about something that came up when a friend and I were chatting. She is someone that I've known for a long time, and we used to write together a lot in high school for fun. And with this whole quarantine situation, she's been more and more considering sort of getting back into writing, and she misses writing, and she wanted to maybe pursue getting one of her sort of mostly completed books published. And we were going back and forth and talking about the editing process and all the rest of it. And she was getting frustrated, but I'll get into that later. But she said something. She said something that anyone who has ever written a book or published a book or tried to publish a book will deeply appreciate. She was like, "Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe the whole writing thing isn't for me. I wanted to do the writing thing as a way to make a little money on the side. Like, writing and publishing a book was her side gig. And when she realized she had to put in more than 10 hours into it, it lost all appeal." And I'm just like, do you have any idea how hard it is to make money as a writer? As an author? Like, this isn't easy. This is something that you do because you can't possibly imagine doing anything else. It's something that you do because writing is one of those things that you just do to find release or catharsis, or it's something that you do because the stories in your head won't stop playing. Nobody decides I'm going to be a writer for the money. Oh god. So, I don't know. It was such a weird thing for me because I don't know. I guess most of the people I talk to in sort of the author and writer tube community, even if they're still optimistic, the reality's smacked them around enough that they're like, yeah, no, this is not like J.K. Rowling. That I might as well buy a lottery ticket at that point. Um, so, anyways, she was pulling out her old stories from high school and sort of rereading them and trying to outline and edit, but she'd get halfway through and she'd get bored. And I think Kate Kavanaugh had a word for this. I don't know if it's the official word, but I remember it from one of her videos. She called it being a squirrel, where it was like, ooh, shiny new project. And then you get into it and then you get bored and you go, ooh, shiny new project. And you get into that one. And first of all, that's not a way to finish a first draft, but she was like, I don't want to write when I don't want to write because I don't want to force myself. And she's like, if it's not enjoyable, I don't want to do it, which I get for a hobby. If you're actually planning on becoming a published author, this is no longer a hobby. This is your job. And you can do that while also working a full time job, but it takes time, it takes effort, it takes doing things when you don't want to do them. It takes going through edits at 10 o'clock at night because the day completely got away from you and you have no idea what happened, but you have to correspond with someone, so you need these done. It takes outlining and banging your head against a wall because you can't figure out how to get from one part of the story to the next. It takes drafts and redrafts and edits and proofreads and copy edits. It takes work. It's not, I'm going to sit down and write a book, send it in to a dozen publishers, and then pick whichever yes suits me best. It's some people submit to publishers for years. Some people submit to agents for years. Some people publish online and manage to sell 100 copies of their book, and that's impressive. 100 copies for a self published book is about the average. If you can get there, more power to you. but it takes work, actual hours and effort and sitting down and doing things when you don't feel like doing them work. And you do this not because you love banging your head against a plot hole until you can figure out what was supposed to go in that storyline. You do it because you can't imagine yourself doing something else. You do it because the story in your head won't stop. You do it because at the end of the day, it's what you love, even if you don't love every part of it. I kind of compare it to like Olympic athletes, figure skaters or runners. You can love running. You can love swimming. You could be Michael Phelps. That doesn't mean there's never a day where Michael Phelps doesn't go, God, I don't want to do the butterfly today. I don't, I don't, I don't want to do it. And you know what he does? He does it anyway. Because you don't have to love every minute of every day of what you're doing to still love what you're doing. Sort of committing yourself to something like that, it requires putting in the effort. It requires spending time doing the things that you don't really want to do. And it requires a lot of work. Writing is for everyone. I'm a firm believer in that. Writing with the intent of being published, that's something different. You can write fan fiction all day long, and they can be amazing stories. I mean, I've read some great fan fiction. You could write original short stories and novellas and post them on Wattpad, which for some people does turn into legitimate publishing opportunities. But for most people is just a fun release. But writing with the intent of publishing, there's this little like author part of your brain that wants to create these beautiful flowy prose and perfectly designed characters and just enjoy the craft of writing. Becoming an author means that you need to tell the little writer person to sit quietly in the corner for a little bit. Because right now, you need to come up with a marketing strategy. You need to define the demographics for your book. You need to go through proof edits and copy edits and go through lists of available agents or marketing opportunities, or look at literary competitions where you have the chance of some exposure. Being an author means having that little writer and allowing them to express their craft, but also knowing when they need to take a back seat and the little business person needs to step up. Being an author is hard. Making money from it is even harder. Most of us, if I'm being really honest, most of us will not earn enough from our writing to be able to pursue it as a full-time occupation. A lot of us manage to make the writing world a full-time thing, either by soliciting editorial services or copywriting services. But those are people that have been in the industry for years. Some people manage to freelance, and then writing is their full-time thing. But that's not most of us. Most of us have full-time jobs. Most of us go to work. And we hope that maybe one day we might make some money from our writing. The dream is always to be able to turn it into a full-time thing, to be able to do nothing but write. But writing a book and publishing it to make a little money on the side, sorry, darling, it's a little harder than that.